Okay, I'm actually live again. Let's see if anybody actually is willing to watch me yak 2 days in a row. Yeah, sometimes 3 Makarovs. You need a Makarov. Let's see. I've got one of them near the desk, actually. And when a few more folks show up, if that happens, I'll get into the range stuff. I just got back maybe an hour ago, and I'll talk a little bit about what I learned and what happened. Yeah, the IJ70s are super cool. I wouldn't mind having one of those with the adjustable sight. That would be really cool. Though I'd like to have every Makarov variant there's ever been. Also, can y'all hear me okay? Because I'm just using the onboard microphone on my computer. Nothing fancy today. Across the street from your job, yeah, that would be very dangerous for me. I wouldn't be able to deal with that if I had a gun store across the street from my job. Well, I mean, I have a gun store, and you lose all your money on guns. It's just the way it is. Okay, good, good. Also, y'all, I'm sorry. I'm still very, very fucking sweaty from the range. It was really, really hot out today. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure I smell fucking awful. All right, so let's see. All right, so we've got 6 people in right now. Let's get a couple more, and then I'll start talking about range stuff. Let's see, and let me check Discord as well. All right, so because I'm streaming in the middle of the day, 5 people is probably as big as this thing's going to get. So I'll go ahead and get started. So I took somebody new to the range today, somebody who had never been to the range, somebody who's very far left, and it went extremely well. They were a super good shooter just right out of the gate, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I don't know if y'all take new folks to the range very often, but you should. And with any luck, I'm hoping that I made a gun fan today. I think it's really especially important for queer folks to be able to defend themselves. And today we just kind of worked on the basics, and it went really, really well. So I'll show you what we shot. We shot the Glock 19. You know, just everybody likes the standard Glock 19. We shot this Smith 1006, a 10 millimeter. We shot the CZ SP101 or SP01 and the Ruger SP101. And I don't know why I took this with me, but the HK45 compact. And I think the Glock 19 was the hit of the day. I think that was definitely the most popular gun, to be sure. This person shot everything and just, I don't know, just seemed to gravitate towards the Glock. And I asked them why. You know, what is it about the Glock? And I think it's a combination of the grip angle, the grip texturing, the trigger, and the sights. So I was thinking that the CZ SP01 would be the hit of the day. I was sure of that. I thought, oh, absolutely, that's going to be the one that they like the most and they're going to gravitate towards. But their assessment as a first-time shooter was that the SP01 doesn't have enough grip texturing, and they felt like the grip shape is weird. And maybe that's true. I'd never thought about that, but I guess, you know, once they kind of put that in my head, I thought, you know, I guess there isn't that much grip texture. I saw exactly what they were talking about, and it made me appreciate the Glock more, and then I was a bit embarrassed about that. I think they also like the HK45C. They felt like the trigger was pretty good. I'm not totally sure that I agree with that, but I think that switching to this from the Glock, you'd probably feel that. And also, I put some Talon grips on there, and I think that helped a lot. So let's see what chat's saying here. Yeah, I don't like the Gen 3 19 that much either. I don't like the texture of the Gen 3 19. There's not enough texture. There's virtually nothing. I started shooting on Gen 3s in the early 2000s. I think maybe I got my first one in 03 maybe. And yeah, I mean, there's not enough texturing for sure. Yeah, and the SP01 is hard to rack. It is hard to rack. I think that's probably the chief complaint from most people after they use it for a really long time is, yeah, it's hard to rack. And I think that the CZ people tried to sort of pitch this as just the pinnacle of guns, and it is great, but it's not necessarily super friendly to a beginner. You know, the trigger in that one's not super great. We've talked about this a few times, but see, I tried to rack it with the front slide serrations, and I usually can't. But the trigger is just really, really gritty. It's just kind of nasty, and not super easy for a new person to get their hands around. Yeah, and the Gen 3 doesn't have enough grip texture, and the finger grooves. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But favorite long-range caliber rifle and optic. I mean, I shoot 308 right now, and I'm using an AccuPoint. But yeah, okay. So Creeping Iron mentioned, you know, you got used to the Beretta slide-mounted safety after practicing for an afternoon with an unloaded gun absent-mindedly. I think a lot of people have kind of had that experience where, you know, you're told that the Beretta safety is going to be this super huge impediment to use, right? And it's going to get in the way. You're going to accidentally put it on, but that's never happened to me even one time. Mine's decocker only, or the one that I primarily use. I've never had that issue. That's never come up. And yeah, okay. So and then if you get the Cajun upgrades, I was just talking about that with John, the Practical Tactical Minimalist. If you're not watching his channel, you should be. He was saying, like, do you just pretty much have to send them off to Cajun to make them usable? And I don't know if you have to do that to make them usable per se, but it certainly helps a lot. But then at that point, it still doesn't feel as good as a Langdon Beretta. The Langdon Beretta slide is much easier to manipulate, so you're probably just going to want the Langdon at that point. And I don't know, the Langdon's probably about the same price. And you're going to have an optics ready gun too. Yeah, the Beretta's got those super sweet slide scallops. Yeah, it's really, really, really nice. And yeah, the Beretta, there's just something about it. And I made the mistake, instead of listening to my own intuition, which was to take the Beretta, I took the SP01 just because so many people have notoriously said, oh, well, this is a great gun for a first timer. And I didn't listen to my instincts, which, you know, said, hey, take some kind of 92. And that was a mistake. So I hope I didn't turn that person off to double action, single action guns, but they did like the HK. So hopefully they'll give those a shot later. But yeah, and you mentioned mag dumping the Beretta. The Berettas have such a light recoil impulse. I was thinking, though, you know, everybody talks about the SP01 recoil impulse. I hadn't shot that gun in a while, and I thought, well, maybe it is super gentle, but I'm finding that all metal guns with the Browning system, there's always going to be a little bit more recoil than something plastic, because the plastic guns flex so much, you know. And oh, Josh, I'm so glad you were able to make it, man. That's awesome. Thank you for being here. That's super cool. Me doing this in the middle of the day, I had no idea if anybody would even be able to join. Part of me was like, am I fucking bananas for streaming 2 days in a row? But it's funny, the stream from yesterday was really just a test stream to see if this would work, and a bunch of people joined it, and we ended up having a really good time talking, and I just didn't want it to stop, so I stayed for 2 hours. And so yeah, I'm a nutbag doing this 2 days in a row. But yeah, I should have taken a 92 for the person to try, and I just didn't. And, you know, that's on me. But the Glock was a big hit, and I really enjoyed it. And also, I noticed this thing was happening with the SP01. I've been away from it for a while, and I was throwing shots. When I was trying to do triples, I was throwing the middle one of the three consistently, and I don't know why that was happening. I mean, almost every triple that I shot, I threw the middle one. I could do doubles, but I couldn't do triples. I don't understand why that was happening, but it was. And then I would pick the Glock back up, and I could do whatever I wanted with it. So that trigger was really messing with me today. Yeah, am I considering jumping into any of the J-frame revolvers? Yeah, I already have. I ended up getting an air weight. I'll get the air weight. Hang on. Because the air weight leads us into another interesting range discussion. So I took the SP101 to kind of see the Ruger SP101, not the CZ SP01, to see if I would like it more than the air weight. And I also wanted to see with a 3-inch barrel if it had less trouble finding, or if I had less trouble finding a load that would hit where the sights are than I had with the air weight. That's always a challenge with the 2-inch guns. Well, the weird thing is, I have not a bunch, but I have a few boxes of this this S&B 38 Special, and I noticed that it was hitting in exactly the same spot with the SP101, and I wanted to see if anybody else had run into that, because with both of these guns, I'm hitting pretty far to the left, and about a foot high at 15 yards. And I mean, consistently, it's stacking them into a 2-inch group in single action with the SP101 with that load. I've never had two loads that were both that far off with two different guns. It's really strange. And yeah, I appreciate you all being my beta testers. I just wanted to see if this worked and if it was any good. Yeah, Glocks will outlive us all. They definitely will. Yeah. And I'd like to get an LCR, Josh. You mentioned that at some point. That would be really cool, and I need to get one. And I think there's one on the Discord, but I haven't asked. I haven't inquired about it. I probably should. Does everybody like their LCRs? Is everybody a big fan? A 223 bolt gun, that's actually something that I considered for a while. I was thinking about getting one of the I'm going to say it wrong, Don, I know it, but one of the Tikka super lights in 223. I thought that would be super cool because I've got this big, stockpile of Federal 223 and 5.56, and I was thinking that would be a really cheap way to just get to shoot a bolt gun anytime I wanted, and that would be really, really fun. I think I would love that. Yeah, it's hard to figure out. What you're gonna buy for your first gun. Definitely. What are you thinking about for your first pistol? Yeah, 223 actually has really good terminal ballistics. I mean, especially out of like a 20-inch barrel. I mean, it'll fuck some shit up. That's why the original AR-15 barrel length was 20 inches. It does some serious damage. I think. I've definitely heard of folks taking deer with 223. My favorite rifle that's not an AR-15 is the Beretta ARX. I think I've talked about this before. It's my favorite piston rifle. It's got some weird stuff. It needs like an A2. They need to update that thing. It's like this weird, fish-shaped monstrosity with this barrel you can take out, and it's got all these super weird sling attachment points that are like loops, and you get this. It comes with this sling that fits the loops. It's made out of like seatbelt material. It's really, really kind of weird, and it needs an update especially for us American shooters. But it's a super, super cool rifle. I really like it, and it's got a much better recoil impulse than a lot of the piston guns that I've shot. It doesn't have that sort of piston snap. It doesn't have all that weight out front. It's got a nice pencil barrel. Ooh, love that ARX. It's good, even with all the weird shit. An Argentine 1927, that would be super cool. Yeah. Oh, you misplaced the cash. Yeah, that would suck. But yeah, everybody needs a revolver for their collection. So James, what are you thinking about for a revolver? Josh, I don't remember if the ARX is a short or long stroke piston gun, but I think it's a short stroke. But I think that for a short stroke piston, if I remember correctly, from all the research I had done for the review, and I haven't taken it apart in a while, I think for a short stroke, it has a longer stroke, which is one of the reasons that it has the recoil impulse that it has, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I think that's the case. I mean, I guess I could just get it out and we could look, but that seems too hard for right now. Oh, and you haven't seen my ARX in a while. I ended up putting a T2 and a mod light on it with the mod button, and that's really cool. I like that. I mean, I've been enjoying the mod lights. How much would it cost for you to blue a stainless steel revolver? Well, I mean, if you're going to blue it at home, like not that much. I mean, you can, if you're handy, you can absolutely blue your own gun. Yeah, I blued myself. Don't blue yourself in public, though. That will definitely get you arrested, and then you'll have to like register every time you move, and you don't want that. So make sure you blue yourself at home where no one can see. Yeah, Colt Anaconda. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, I'd like to have that for sure. Although I'm so hung up on the big Rugers. Like the Red Hawk is still my favorite 44 Magnum. Like if I'm gonna shoot the big bore stuff, I pretty much always go for the Rugers because the I just went live anyway. Like I said, fuck it. I mean, if people think it's insane that I did it 2 days in a row, that's fine. I'm just gonna be crazy. Colt does some weird stuff. Like, yeah, I don't know why they don't offer a bluing straight from the factory. I don't know for that gun, especially since the originals that were blued, or it's Colt does some of the most beautiful bluing in the industry. I think, really, at least they used to. I haven't really seen a lot of the newer Colt stuff. I've handled a few of the newer revolvers, and they seem cool. The triggers were decent. But just too hung up on my Rugers. I'm just way too hung up on the Ruger stuff. I gotta say the Colt revolvers I've got a Colt revolver right now. It's just they're just not quite as robust. Like I would be afraid to shoot a steady diet of like nothing but the hottest loads through a Colt for years and years and years. I don't know if they could stand up to that. I'm sure the new ones are slightly better. Also, are they using MIM parts now? How are they doing that for the newer revolvers? I'm curious. No, Smith & Wesson big irons. I don't know. Does this count? I think that counts. I really do. I would count the 1006 as some Smith big iron. Okay, so Fallout 2511, you have and I'm going to say it wrong, and I know I'm going to say it wrong, Don, but the Tikka T3 CTR in 223, and you put a Kalas, is that how we say it? A 1-6 LPVO on it? I mean, that sounds great to me. I would love to have that. That sounds amazing. I would absolutely shoot the fucking hell out of that setup. So whenever the scope company, Kalas or Kales, I don't know how you say it, whenever they come up, I can only think of Kalas, the ancient Klingon hero. That's all that comes to mind, and that's all that I can think of. Okay, one day you're gonna have to explain to me how to fucking say it. Like, you've typed it out. I don't get it. My stupid American brain just doesn't understand how to say it. But yeah, I think Smiths are mem parts a lot of the time. Now Rugers are definitely mem parts. Like this Revolver's got, you know, a bunch of mem stuff. But mem's fine. You know, as long as mem is done well, it's great. As long as it's got adequate quality control. You know, Glocks have like mem strikers and shit, and it works fine. The problem is when people don't check their mem parts and they have voids in them, they get those little voids, and that's where they fail. Is there's not enough strength there. Yeah, you know, or it's the Khaleesi scope. Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I worked at Barnes & Noble like 12 years ago, before I became self-employed, and I remember folks coming in and they would ask for the wildest shit when they were trying to get the Song of Ice and Fire books. It was fantastic. Oh yeah, no, the 1927s. I wasn't saying it would be mem. I was asking about the new Colts. I just wanted to know if they had switched when they reissued those to mem parts. I would imagine that they have. It would really surprise me if Smith, well, obviously Ruger is, and Colt weren't all making their new revolvers with mem parts. I would imagine. But I just want to see the reputation of mem parts change. Like, we've got to kind of let this idea go that mem is massively inferior. It's just really not. Okay, so I'm at least close on the name. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, those 1927s have are well regarded as far as I know. Yeah, please do. I'd love to see a picture. So if I was gonna get an LPVO, what do you guys want to see if I was gonna get one? Because right now I'm leaning towards the AccuPoint with the, like, fucking triangle on a stick, but I can't just only have Trijicon optics. You know, like, I realize that, like, if I buy a new optic, you guys know that, like, TGP is just gonna buy another fucking Trijicon. And so I want an AccuPoint 1-6, and I want it to be the triangle on a stick, but I also know that y'all probably want to see something different. And I can't, you know, I don't have all the money in the world, so it's got to be reasonably priced. But what do y'all want to see? What do you want to see me review? Yes. Okay. While I'm waiting on somebody to comment on the LPVO choice, yeah. I still do center axis relock in certain positions, and I know a lot of folks absolutely detest when I do that. But for walking to the right while shooting while on the move, in my opinion, for my body and for the way that I shoot, I still think that switching to that sort of quasi center axis relock works the best for me, and I think I get more hits on when I do that, and it just really works for me. I'm not still doing it close up. I kind of abandoned that because I just the feeling of the blast on my face in that position, I hate the way that feels. It's really unnerving. But yeah, when I move, I'm still doing it that way. It just feels the most natural. Otherwise, you're kind of having to extend the gun in this weird sort of like almost like Weaver stance thing, and that just felt weirder to me than just sticking with center axis relock. Yeah. So yeah, I'm still doing that. Miopta, yeah, I've never even used a Miopta. I've seen them, but I've never even tried them. And yeah, I'm interested in any primary arms optic, but I'd like to get a primary arms and something more high end, and I'd like to maybe sort of try them at the same time on two different guns. That would be really interesting, because I know the verdict on the primary arm stuff is that it's really reliable, and I want to test that for myself, but I do at the same time kind of want something more high end at the same time. Yeah, oh, I've definitely heard of the Daedon, the S-Tag Daedon carriers. I mean, it's an S-Tag product. It's probably gonna be great. I haven't tried one myself, but I'm sure it's fantastic. As y'all know, I have a shitload of S-Tag stuff. S-Tag pouches are mostly what I use these days, nearly all the time. So I really, really like S-Tag. They've been good to me, and not because I do YouTube stuff. Like, they don't fucking care that I do YouTube. They don't know that I do this. They've just been really, really good. Like, if I've needed something a little bit custom or a little bit strange, they're always happy to do it, and I really appreciate that. They're so accommodating. Most companies aren't. Most companies, if you tell them you need a pouch a certain way, they just tell you to fuck off. But S-Tag, I've needed a couple of older things that they had out of production, and they made them for me. And again, they don't care that I do this. Okay, so in Austria, it's no 50 BMG. I don't know why I'm so fascinated by just by shooting cultures around the world, but I am. Like, anytime when I'm doing one of these live streams, if you all want to share in your country what you shoot and what you see most often, I want to know. I think a lot of people here want to know too. Okay, Josh, you asked about, you said, I'm not into budget red dots, but which one do I think is the best bang for the buck in terms of quality? Well, I am actually testing a budget red dot right now. I'm testing the Holosun T2 clone. I forget what it's called, but it looks just like a T2, whatever that is. And so far, I don't know if I noticed that much of a difference between it and the actual T2 that I have. And I haven't done anything sort of, super brutal to it yet, but I have it on the PSA AK that has the waggly top cover so that I can induce as much violent movement as possible. So I feel like if it's gonna fail, it would probably fail on that gun. I was like, if I've got it wiggling all over the place, that thing's got a crazy muzzle brake on it, surely that's gonna fuck it up if something is. Whereas the T2's on the very gentle Beretta ARX, where it's not really being put to too much hardship, I don't think. So that's the low end budget option that I'm kind of liking at the moment. If you step it up a little bit, I still think for some people under certain circumstances, the Trijicon MRO is probably the overall best deal. If you're not in the minority, where it just doesn't work for some people's eyes for some reason. I've seen it often enough that we can't dismiss that. It works for my eyes, it works great for me, but if for your eyes it just doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and that's the way it is. And I can't sit here and tell you, oh, you should be able to make it work for you. That would be an asshole thing to say. But if you're one of the people who the MRO works for, which is the majority of people, then the MRO, damn, it's a good value. Okay, so people say that the Holosuns suck with night vision on. I mean, I can't attest to that. I don't know. I'm not a night vision person. I'll have to leave that to the folks that do a lot of stuff with nods. But and is it the Holosun 515? Is that the T2 clone? Yeah, it's working well for me so far. I don't know anything about the Swamp Fox red dots. I see them, but I don't know. I can't comment on them. I would need to try one, and for an extended period of time. I don't like to comment on something that I've only used once either. Really, I feel like I preferably like to actually own something for myself for a while. That's the only way I feel like I actually have good information. I feel like there are plenty of people on gun YouTube that will shoot 200 rounds with something and they'll go, oh yeah, I know everything there is to know about this thing. Like, not to pick on anybody, but I feel like, Such, it looks like he just shoots a couple hundred rounds through something, if that, and is like, I'm ready for the review. And I just don't feel like much of anything about the gun doing that. Like, I shot about that much through everything that I took to the range today, and I don't feel like I radically learned anything new. Although it was interesting to get back with the SPO1. I did discover some stuff there, but yeah, I mean, I think the SRO is pretty good. Again, I'm always mentioning him, but John, the Practical Tactical Minimalist, he's used the SRO for a while and he's had good luck with it. Although I think he had one or maybe two that had to go back to Trijicon. Trijicon seems to have had some quality control troubles during the pandemic. So since I bought everything right at the beginning of the pandemic, I didn't have any of those issues, but a lot of other people did have some trouble. Interesting. So Fallout 2511, they have 2 Hollow Suns and a T2, and just like me, isn't seeing a huge difference. You know, I like my T2 a lot, but I don't know. I'm as rough as I can be with my guns. I'm not sure that I'm rough enough to see much of a difference between it and the Hollow Sun either, and that has surprised me. And I think Such is quantity over quality too. You know, he puts out a lot of videos, and that's his thing, and that's okay. I'm not knocking that, but that's just not what I would want to do. Like one of the reasons that my output is so low is that I feel like unless I have something really good to say, I don't know if the rest of the world's going to think it's good, but I always am reticent to put it out unless I think it's going to be something really good. I'm not going to go, well, it's Thursday, it's time to put out the video again, even though I made just some bullshit this week. I always stop and say, is this as good as some other things that I've done? Is this good at all? Does it add anything to gun YouTube? And if not, I don't do it. Yeah, Honest Outlaw is great. Yeah, I like that guy a lot. Yeah, he's really good. I watch his videos. And but my favorite's In Range still. In Range, and watch a lot of Tactical Girlfriend. Those are great channels. But In Range is my go-to. I don't watch as much GunTube as I used to. It's started to get to me as time went on. I feel like GunTube is less honest than ever, and it bugs me. Well, thanks for watching the SR 1911 review. That was a tough video to make because Ruger had done a really good job of looking after me, but the second gun, it still doesn't work, and it doesn't work to this day. It works more than the first gun, but it still doesn't fucking work. And it doesn't matter what ammo I use, it doesn't matter how often I clean it, it shoots 100 rounds and then it starts to shit the bed. And it's always the same thing with both guns where it can't strip the first round out of the magazine at first, and then 50 or 60 rounds later, then it starts to have a failure in the middle of every magazine. And I don't understand why that is. And there are reports of people, having Rugers that they can shoot hundreds of rounds through, and then I've had 2 where I can't. And it's not that I don't believe them, it's just that, I don't know, maybe I have really bad luck, or maybe it's the model with the rail, but something's not right there. Yeah, there is more money being thrown around, and to be totally transparent, I've had a couple of companies approach me and be like, hey, we'll throw some money your way if you'll review this, and I'm not doing it. I'm not saying that I won't do sponsorships, because that's inevitable. Like if the inevitable, like, fucking, VPN scholarship or sponsorship, fucking VPN scholarship, what the fuck is that? A VPN sponsorship fell in my lap. I'd probably take it because it didn't have anything to do with guns, but I'm not going to review something and get paid for it. That doesn't work for me. Folks can send me stuff to review, but I'm still going to say whatever I want about it. In fact, somebody sent me some hearing protection to try, and I used it at the range today, and it fucking sucked. And I don't even know if I'm going to review it or not. It sucked so bad. It was absolutely terrible. My ears are ringing. It was awful, and I'm glad that I took my Peltors to the range. Yeah, I think Ruger does do a better job with their revolvers, but I've had as many quality control issues with the Ruger revolvers as I've had with the semi-autos. I don't know if y'all saw my review of the 22 Ruger GP100, but with Ruger revolvers, 2 out of 3 have had to go back to Ruger for something. Those aren't good odds, but they have such good customer service. I feel kind of bad bitching about it, but why the fuck don't they just get them right the first time? You'd think that would be a lot cheaper, right? Yeah, I would like to see Carl review the TA44 too. That's gonna be really cool. I don't have experience with the Steyr pistols. I need to shoot them. I'm very interested, but right now, I'm not super into buying more plastic polymer pistols. I've also got plenty of stuff to review, but maybe I'll get a Steyr eventually. The electric ear pro I'm still using just the 3M Peltors, the same ones that I've used forever. God, I'm debating right now whether I should tell you guys what brand it was that absolutely shit the bed this morning, but yeah, fuck it. It's the Axials or whatever. They were terrible this morning, just absolutely awful. And the person that I was with, I was like, can you try these and make sure it's not just me? And so much sound was getting through, and I don't understand what was happening. I mean, one of my ears is still ringing, just terrible. Oh, that's a good question about the Peltors. I think I have the ProTac, whatever the cheapest ones are. I think they were like $60, $80, something like that. They're really nice. Yeah. Okay. So if shill junk is apparently one opinion on the Axials, and that was kind of what I found today, and I've tried them on a couple other occasions, and I didn't like them then either. And I don't know what I'm going to do about a review. I may just not review them at all, but I can't in good conscience tell anyone to buy those things. They let way too much sound through. The sound quality was also bad. They were really blown out sounding. And I know I'm kind of weird about sound quality because I mix and master things for a living, but there's just no excuse for how those sounded when the Peltors sound so good. They sound so amazing. But yeah, I want to try the Volker Universal Comp. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to try that. Absolutely. I don't know what ear pro fits with the what was that helmet? Is it the PAGSAT? Is that how we say the acronym? I can't remember. PASGAT. I don't know which ear pro works with those, but I know what you're talking about. I know it exists. Man, I'm really thirsty after that range trip. It was really, really hot out. I think it's probably 90. I mean, for the South, that's not that bad, but I'm slightly sunburned after that, and so I'm really, really thirsty. Y'all are probably going to see me chug some water, so I apologize for that awful sound. There's nothing quite as disgusting as listening to someone drink near a microphone. I know this from doing studio work. That's such a disgusting sound when somebody's in front of a microphone going. Nobody likes that. So is that what Axial's doing right now? Are they just sending EarPro out to anybody who will review it? That must be what's happening. It must be like Olight. By the way, you guys have probably noticed I haven't reviewed an Olight. I'm not gonna. I think Olight may have sent me an email about a sponsorship, and I'm just not fucking doing it. I don't want to review one. I have no interest. I would happily take, however, a Mod Light or a Surefire if you would like to send me one. Either of those companies that don't fucking know that I exist. Okay, yeah. And the funny thing is, they sent me these a really long time ago too, and I should have tried them before I did, but I think I took them out of the case and tried them and was like, I don't know. One day I'd like to have a helmet system and comms and night vision and all that stuff, and then I would need to investigate what hearing protection works under a helmet, but I just haven't been able to bring myself to spend that money. Because you'll probably notice, I have trouble spending money on anything that I'm okay, I'm not gonna get something cheap, because then I'm just gonna sit there and kick myself and go, God, why didn't I just fucking save more money and just spend a little bit more time waiting and saving to get the helmet that I actually wanted. And then I start looking at it and I'm like, God, it's thousands to get the helmet set up that I would want. I ain't got that money. But I am the least cool person on earth. I am so fucking uncool. One of my friends joked that I'm so fucking uncool that it came back around again somehow. Yeah, I'm with you. Me too. I would need friends to need comms, and I ain't got friends, so I don't need comms. Who the fuck would I talk to? I would just talk to myself. And I would just be in this room turning my comms on and off, going, yeah, I've got comms. I'm so cool. Yeah, here in the U.S., ballistic helmets are really expensive. I mean, lots of stuff is expensive here. Inflation is crazy right now. But you folks with comms, like, do y'all have like a bunch of people that you can actually talk to with those, or do you have them just in case? I'm really curious about that. I have no noggin protection. So if I ever needed to use all my gear, I'm just going to bang my stupid noggin into everything, give myself brain damage. You know, not there's much going on in my noggin anyway. You know, not much to protect, but I probably still should have something. Yeah, I've heard of Hardhead Veteran or whatever they're called. I've heard of that helmet company. Let's look them up real quick. I want to see what those go for. That's a good question. Well, it wasn't really a question. You just fucking mentioned them. Let's see. What do these go for? So they've got a bump helmet. Let's see how much the bump helmet is. The bump helmet is $218 USD. And the ballistic helmet is $533. And it looks comfy to me. I mean, not that you can really tell just by looking at a helmet, but it looks like it's got a really modern padding arrangement. Yeah, I mean, that looks like a good helmet to me. I mean, hell if I know. You know, but it looks good. It looks modern. It looks like it's got a lot of the stuff that we expect from a helmet. But I want to look at this too. I'm really concerned about helmet weight. That's, y'all know that, like, I worry about weight in all things. I don't know if y'all know this, but like one of my left arm is partially paralyzed, and so I have a lot of trouble doing normal things. And one of the things is carrying weight, because my body's all mismatched because of that. And so I'm really concerned with weight. And I think this weighs 3 pounds, but is that 3 pounds with all the padding and stuff? And what is the lightest helmet? Because I'd also be willing to pay more to have a lighter helmet too. But oh, the trash possum. I don't know. I felt like I was wearing out the trash possum. Maybe I need to bring the trash possum back. Also, at my old house, there was a possum that lived out back, and the possum in the video was based on the actual possum that lived in my yard and things that it did. And that possum, I loved it. It was a dirty bastard though. It would come up and hang out with us when we were on the back porch. And I loved that possum. But possums don't live long. They have a lifespan of, you know, 1.5 to 2 years. And the possum sadly passed away in the backyard. And you know, I was devastated, and I haven't been able to bring the possum back since. The possum's name was Carl Jr. after the fast food place. Is that possum would eat some fucking trash, I'll tell you. And after a while, I was sort of almost proud. I'd be like, wow, you managed to get into the garbage can again. That's amazing. It's incredible. Yeah, possums have a really short lifespan. By the way, not to pry, but I hope the tests went well. And I hope you aced them. Hope you got fucking straight A's. But yeah, possums don't live long. It's very sad. And one day I'll have the heart to bring the possum back, but I was so devastated when my possum buddy passed. Also, I hate saying that somebody, you know, passed away. Just fucking died. And we should be more comfortable with death, especially in the United States. We seem to have trouble talking about death. Okay, I'm glad you're good now. I'm glad. Yeah, tests are stressful. I don't miss that from college, I'll tell you. I don't miss tests one bit. I don't miss midterms or finals. Terrible time in life. There's some more disgusting on-stream drinking. Let's look at some other helmets. I want to know what the lightest NIJ rated helmet is. Let's see. Yeah, I agree. Like it's so disrespectful to make up a euphemism after somebody has died to sort of make, I don't know, make people feel better about it or something. Like it's not going to make anybody feel better. One of the most important people in my life died more than 6 months ago. It was fucking awful. It was one of the worst times in my adult life. No, probably the worst time. And it was so hard. You know, everybody wanted to talk about it. Customers wanted to talk about it, and they would try to come up with these sort of seemingly delicate ways to discuss it. And no, there's no delicate way to discuss it. It was fucking awful. He died, and it was terrible. It was one of the worst things that's ever happened to me. And you know, making up some euphemism for it is not going to make it any easier. So I hear tell of a 2-pound helmet. It's called the Spartan Ultra Lightweight Helmet. You know, the shell is 1.6 pounds, and the cam, fit, rails, Velcro kit, and NVG shroud bring the helmet in at 2.5 pounds. Huh. But it's $1,300, almost $1,400, and I ain't got money for that. That's fucking nuts. But I guess, but see, this is the problem. This is a problem with me and buying stuff. If I get something else, I'm gonna go, well, you know, if I had just waited another 6 months, I could have gotten that. I could have shaved off that other quarter of a pound or however much. You know, that's just the way I think. It's maddening. It probably means that I'm insane, but that's okay. And if anyone joined the stream in the middle of my tirade about euphemisms, you probably think I'm nuts right now, and you're not wrong. So, like, how important do you guys think a helmet and night vision is? Because I also get asked a lot about that. Like, folks are like, "Oh, are you gonna make any night vision content? Are you gonna do a full helmet build out?" And I just don't know. I don't know if there's any place for that for me. I don't know if I want to put the money into that. I don't know if I would use it. Because you know, I wear my carrier at the range all the time, but it's like in the Columbia summer heat in the middle of South Carolina, am I really going to want to wear a helmet? I don't think I am. I think I'm going to just not wear it. I think it's going to piss me off, and I'm going to end up taking it off. Okay, so a Team Wendy, is that cheap? Are you talking about a used Team Wendy? Oh, thank you. Yeah, I do this because I'm nuts, and you watch because I'm nuts. I mean, I think that's totally fair. Yeah, I mean, I don't. To me, the Team Wendy stuff. I mean, I'm not seeing anything that cheap, but I could be wrong. I may just not be seeing it. But or maybe you're talking about bump helmets. I don't know. Do I have any recommendations for a plate carrier? Considering one for the hot Arizona sun. Yes, I have a recommendation for hot weather plate carriers. The Cry SPC is the most comfortable summer plate carrier that I have discovered. It breathes. It's got all those little open bits and all the little meshy shit all over it that drives people crazy because they're like, my plates are exposed to the sun. And I'm thinking all the time, yeah, but I really want the sweat to be able to escape so I don't fucking die when I'm at the range. So I really like the SPC. And when you think about it, it's not that expensive. I think it's $280, when you get the cummerbund with it. And by the way, most people are going to need the small cummerbund. That cummerbund's fucking massive. I almost have to max it out to even be able to wear it. Yeah, the SPC, if you live in a hot place, if you live in a hot southern jungle-y area like I do, definitely you want the SPC. And if you live in the desert, you probably want the SPC. And I don't really live in a jungle. The South just feels like a jungle sometimes. Well, maybe bump helmets are worth it. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know enough about it. I know me, and I feel like I'm going to probably want to get an actually ballistically rated helmet, but I don't know. Fallout 2511 says, help me with this. Is a vertical foregrip on an AR worth it in the long run? I take mine off and on a weekly basis. I don't know. That's up to you. I don't know if anybody can sort of make that decision for you. I don't think I have any on my ARs right now, but if it feels good to you, then go for it. That's just a personal thing, and it's also totally okay if you take it off and on too. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as it's not impeding your ability to shoot the way that you want to shoot, please go for it. You know, there's nothing wrong with anything you want to do, really. Yeah, man, and Don, I agree. Like the SPC cummerbund, god damn, that is a good cummerbund. Like everything about that carrier, I am so appreciative of that carrier after using it for a year and some change. Like I've got the JPC too. I love it. I still use it sometimes, but whenever I have the JPC on, I'm always thinking, I just wish that I had the SPC. And because it's got a little bit more structure, it lifts all that weight up, and I can go for a lot longer before my fucked up arm gets too sore for me to be able to deal with it. I'd like to try any of the Kanai stuff anytime. I don't have any Kanai stuff, but I've heard great things, and I love their name. That's such a smart name. Somebody knows their history with a name like Kanai. Yeah, Osmium, you're right. Like it does depend on the handguard. Some handguards are so thick that it makes a lot of sense to have, an angled foregrip or a vertical foregrip, because that's going to be the only way for you to grip the gun correctly. Like on my ARX, I have an angled foregrip, I think. No, what do I have on there? No, I have a BCM vertical foregrip, the one that's kind of angled, forward, like the AK dong thing. I had to have that because it's so big and tuna-esque up front. It's the only way to really sort of be able to wield that gun effectively. Oh, Kanai went out of business? Oh, fucking hell, that sucks. Wow, I didn't know that. That really sucks. Well, maybe something will pop up on the used market, but probably not. I bet it'll be really expensive now. Have I ever ventured into mil-cert bolt-action rifles? Josh says his first rifle was a Mosin M44, and yeah, those kick like crazy. Yes, absolutely. In fact, you guys will see, I don't know if it'll be soon on the channel, but you guys will see a Swedish Mauser that I restored that was in terrible, terrible condition, and I spent a lot of time restoring it. It was in pieces and it had rusted, but it's got a lot of significance to me, and I spent a lot of time with it, and it looks good now. It looks really good, and I can't wait to shoot that in a video for y'all. It's a really cool rifle. I love the 6.5 Swedish cartridge. It's really cool. Wow, so I missed their final going out of business sale, Kanai's. Yeah, well, that sucks. That just really sucks. I hate that I missed them, and I hate that I missed that final sale too. That really, really sucks. But that's the way it goes. This business is hard. The nylon business is hard. Now, like in the early 2000s, when I was coming up, there weren't that many options. There was like SOE, and there was Eagle Industries and Blackhawk, although the Blackhawk stuff, the quality was way lower than a lot of the other stuff. The stitching wasn't as good. It just wasn't as nice at the time. So there was that, and then there was I mean, I guess those were kind of the big ones at the time. But yeah, I mean, there just weren't as many options. There were like 4 or 5 big nylon makers, and now just it's such a crowded market. I couldn't imagine trying to break into that market to make packs or packs, shirts, vests, pouches. I don't know how you get into it at this point. It's like trying to make another plastic striker-fired gun. I admired the Hudson H9 for trying to do something different, but I don't know if there's room in the market even for that gun, even as different as it is. I don't know if there was a hole for that to slide into. Wow, that ended up sounding more erotic than intended. Well, there are more people than I'd assume there would be for a random stream in the middle of the day on a Friday. Do I have a favorite carry ammo? I mean, I think Federal HSTs are probably the right solution for a lot of people just because, well, they're around and there's a lot of data on them. And I don't know, I tend to have an easier time finding those than a lot of the other carry ammo. And they also, to me, tend to have less recoil than a lot of other plus P stuff. So I really like the HSTs. But I have a bad habit for like home defense guns and stuff. I'll just stick whatever ammo I kind of have in there. That's not good. You shouldn't do that. Don't be like me. And I'm gonna stop doing that. Now that I'm saying that out loud, I realize how dumb it is. Yeah. So Osmium is talking about, picking up an H9, but yeah, that's the problem with any gun that's out of production. Like, you have to use that gun differently. You can't just use it the way you would anything else. For instance, the Beretta Cougar. I love this gun, and I wish I could shoot it as often as one of my 92s, but I can't, because I'll never be able to get new parts for it. Right now, it needs a new recoil spring. I can't find one. And so at a certain point, this gun is going to be useless to me. And that's kind of what would happen with something like the Hudson H9. It's just, you're going to get a certain amount of use out of it, and then you're going to break something important. You're not going to be able to get a new one, and then you're going to have a paperweight. And we need guns that you're going to use often. You need to have support for them. Josh is curious what the next big thing will be in the handgun world, other than micro red dots and the micro compacts getting bigger and phasing out the large compacts. Man, I don't know. I mean, one of the things that I'm enjoying is, that folks are finally starting to see that a 30 or 32 caliber round could be a good thing. I'm a big proponent of lighter rounds that you can shoot faster. That's why I like the Beretta 81 so much, and I think more people are starting to see that there is some benefit to that. Because a lot of those small 9mm, I'm not talking about the 365 so much, but smaller than that, something like the Ruger EC9, they're not painful per se, but they're not easy to shoot well. And a 32, something like a 32 that's scaled up a little bit, like a 32 Magnum, let's say, could be something really great that people would be able to shoot well. They might be able to shoot it more effectively than 9mm out of a small gun. So I would like to see more smaller diameter pistol rounds. We've also seen the resurgence of the 5.7. Folks are starting to look back and realize, like, oh yeah, 5.7, that was actually cool. So Creeping Iron says that unless he gets a good deal on that S-Tag, he's probably going to get a JPC2. Yeah, is there any reason you're getting the JPC2 over the SPC? I'm just curious. I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. I just am curious, why you'd want that one over the other. Because I think the JPC2 probably has slightly more parts compatibility with some of the other stuff that's on the market, but I think the SPC is overall a big upgrade. Yeah, Wolf Hollow Points. Yeah, I think I've got some of those too. I don't own a sword. I would like to have a sword. I'd love to have a good sword. You know, I'd like to participate in HEMA at some point. That would be really, really fun. Considering that my educational background is history, I think it would be really, really fun to explore some history in that way. And I've looked at a lot of the Italian Renaissance fighting manuals and whatnot over the years, and it's fascinating that we have so much information about historical fighting. And good Lord, that is incredibly generous. I don't even know what to say. Wow. That is an amazing super chat. Thank you so much, Super Balls. Do I think 10 millimeter will take over the space of 40? Yes. And I think we were on the way there before the pandemic. We were kind of in this thing where I was seeing the price of 10 millimeter going down. I was seeing more and more 10 millimeter. I was seeing more people buying 10 millimeters. I was talking to other FFLs and they were saying, yeah, man, everybody's buying the Glock 10 millimeters. Then I got one and I shoot 10 millimeter all the time now. In fact, I would go as far as to say that it might be, I don't know if it's my primary caliber, but it's pretty damn close. I mean, my shit hits the fan gun as a 10 millimeter. But now 10 millimeter is impossibly hard to find because I think a lot of manufacturers just make 5.56 and 9 millimeter now mostly, and they make some of the other calibers occasionally. If the pandemic hadn't happened, I think 10 millimeter would be like where 5.7 is right now. I think there would just be a ton of 10 millimeters hitting the market right now. But 10 millimeter is going to have to get back to the place that it was at before the pandemic, before that really happens. And just y'all keep your fingers crossed, buy the 10 millimeters, buy the ammo, and maybe we'll get there because there is so much benefit to that caliber, in my opinion. Oh man, thank you for watching the stream. I really appreciate it. Well, now the SPC though, let's be clear. I know it's the website, the Cry website says it's just $169, but that's just for the carrier. That's not the cummerbund. You have to buy the cummerbund separately, and you do want the SPC cummerbund. You don't want to get a different cummerbund. That's part of the thing. No, the SPC has a rear plate pouch too. Yeah, it's both. Yeah, it's a full carrier, but you do need to get the cummerbund too. Okay, Enforce lights, like I don't hate them or anything, but like I had one, or I still have one. It was the old APLC that was like Glock size. That thing was just fucked up. It just broke all the time. It always had problems. Like that fucking thing, I just never got it working, and it's just. Then I had friends that had problems. It's just kind of a piece of shit. It's just not well made. Oh shit! There's a 10 millimeter P320. So y'all have been wanting me to get a P320. That sways me. See, that makes me happy. That makes me very happy. Well, I don't see a 320. I mean, I know about the 220 Legion, but does anybody have a link to the 320 and 10 millimeter? Yeah, okay, I see y'all are helping Josh with the cummerbund. Yeah, the cummerbund is the bit that goes around your waist, and a comfortable cummerbund is the key to a comfortable carrier. Man, I really want to find this 320 and 10 millimeter. I see people speculating about it. I see people talking about it, but oh, May 7th, 6-hour soft launch is the 320X10. I see this now. Damn, I like that. I like that a lot. God, I'm not crazy about the 320, but that would get me to buy one. I would absolutely buy that. It'll be a while before I can afford it, but I would spend the money on that for sure. Damn. Yeah, that's cool. That's what we need. Is anybody else going to buy that thing? How much is it going to be, too? Okay, and it's got the same capacity as the Glock 40, 15 plus 1. That's really great. I don't know if we have an MSRP yet. Does anybody know? Oh, okay. So what we were talking about the SPC, Creeping Iron asks, does the SPC have compatibility with placards? That's a really good question. So yes, it does. People online will talk about there being sort of height problems with the placards. I haven't experienced that, but I also am using a small SPC, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. Most folks are going to be buying the medium. You can get those little extenders that will drop the placard down to whatever height you want, and most people are probably going to want one of those. I ordered one from, like, I don't know, it was maybe AXL, and there was some change made to my SPC and it didn't work, and then they were going to make me a custom one, and then they never made it, and I don't know what the fuck happened with that. I need to send them an email and see what's going on, but it's been a really long time, and I totally forgot about that. And then I just got used to the height, so it just stopped bothering me. All right, so we're thinking $800 MSRP for the 10 millimeter X10. Yeah, that's reasonable. I mean, I think that's very reasonable. Yeah, I mean, for a niche gun that's got SIG's upgrades, which probably means it just feels like a regular gun. Okay. Creeping Iron points out, never tried on a plate carrier. That's the hard thing about choosing a plate carrier. You can't really try before you buy. You just kind of have to get one and start experimenting, I guess. I don't know what else you can do. I mean, that's kind of what I've had to do. I don't know anywhere locally where I could try something on. I guess I could go to the cop shop where all the cops buy stuff, but I don't much like the cops, so that's probably not going to happen. I'd rather just keep ordering carriers and trying them on at home personally. And that's a good point. With the 320 and 10 millimeter, we will see aftermarket lowers and slides most likely, and that will be super cool. That's one of the only things I like about the chassis system. I'm suspicious of the 320. I've not had amazing experiences with the ones that I've tried, so I'm slightly suspicious, but y'all are wearing me down, and I'm slowly getting on board. And John's wearing me down to get a 365. I really want a 365 XL, and those are the only plastic guns that I really have any interest in. And even then, it's not super intense interest. Yeah, I think the JPC, it's probably the only one in multicam Tropic. That's true. Airsoft and paintball stores. Yeah, I guess that would give you a rough idea. I don't think we have an airsoft or paintball store here, so I don't know. Maybe bigger cities do. I mean, I live in South Carolina. We don't have a lot of things in South Carolina. Best state in the country, but there's a lot of shit we don't have. And okay, so the chassis systems. Like, are we hoping to see chassis systems for every gun? I'd like to see a Glock chassis system, but when I look at the 320 chassis system, there is some added complication that comes with that, some added mechanical complication that I'm not super crazy about, that you don't have to deal with when you don't have a chassis system. And I think we've got some extra parts there that don't really need to be there. So that's one of the only things that makes me a little bit reticent. Yeah, I like the green nylon gear too. I like it a lot. Like, I talked about this in a video before. Like, I just feel weird wearing like regular multicam because it always just looks like you're like super LARPing, when you go for regular multicam. Josh asked, "Can I explain what I mean about unnecessary parts?" Let me pull up a picture of the SIG chassis. Yeah, okay. So what I'm talking about, like, I don't want to go into like ultra technical detail here, but there are a couple of things here that other guns accomplish a little bit more simply. And it has to be slightly more complicated because it's enclosed within the FCU, and the FCU has to be removable, whereas other guns don't have that issue. And there are a few extra bits here that can be accomplished differently. And part of that is because of the way the SIG striker works, and so that's not completely to blame for the FCU, which I've been calling the firearms cinematic universe, the SIG firearms cinematic universe. That's what it feels like. We're in phase 3 of the FCU. Is the JPC that much worse than the SPC? You read a day ago that it's uncomfortable. Which one, the SPC or the JPC? I mean, I don't think there's that much difference. It really is just going to come down to support. The JPC2 breathes fine. Like, it's not like you're just going to die in it. That's not what I mean. I just mean that the SPC does breathe a little bit better. And I think that for most people, the SPC is going to give you that little extra 20% of sweat burn off that's going to kind of cool you down, and I think you're going to probably appreciate that. But, and I don't know, you may appreciate the extra structure too. Yeah, and the JPC is more solid. Well, okay, what do I mean by that? I mean, like, the actual fabric is more solid. The SPC feels more solid because it'll actually stand upright. I'm tempted to go get it, but there's it's like got holsters and stuff stacked in it, and it's gonna knock shit everywhere, and it's gonna be a whole thing. But the SPC is firmer in terms of structure. The SPC is sort of floppy, but with less fabric breathability. And but yeah, I mean, the SPC is open, and that, that's going to bother some people because your plates are exposed. And I don't know if that's that big of a deal, though. I mean, are your plates going to spoil the way people talk about them spoiling? I don't know. I haven't tested any of that, but my plates certainly haven't spoiled in any of my carriers, and they're outside pretty regularly. I mean, you're still probably going to get 5, 6, 7 years out of your plates. So, I mean, I'd consider that to probably be enough. I don't know what plates y'all are buying, but I think the JPC as well, I think I'm seeing less people wearing that. I think it's weird. The SPC was like kind of largely ignored until I think, Grantham did his video, and then folks started to talk about the SPC. I don't know why it had been ignored, but it was. And now I think that I'm seeing less of the JPC now and more of the SPC. Hey, Luke, thanks for joining us. I appreciate all y'all being here. I didn't know how this was going to go over at fucking 1 p.m. when I started on a random Friday. Oh, and I will tell y'all one carrier that I don't wear anymore. The Pharaoh Slickster. I like that carrier. It's fantastic. It's a great carrier, but I feel like so many other designs have passed just the regular Slickster. And I didn't like that there wasn't a small option. There may be now, but my small plates were too small in the bag, and the bag would kind of bend around it, and I don't know. It wasn't my favorite. So I don't really much use that one anymore. I probably need to sell the Slickster, to be honest. It's a great carrier, but it was not right for me. That was not the answer. So we were talking earlier, Luke, about how 10 millimeter was on the cusp of a takeover prior to the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit and manufacturers focused on making 5.56 and 9 millimeter, and now 10 millimeter is extravagantly expensive and widely unavailable. I know it's expensive to shoot right now, and I know it feels like 10 millimeter is never going to come back, but I truly think that within the next year and a half to 2 years, we're going to see 10 millimeter prices drop. Is it going to go back to where it was pre-pandemic, where you could get 1,000 rounds for like $230? No, that's not going to happen. But we could still at least get to a point where you can order some boxes from Outdoor Unlimited or wherever, and maybe pay, I don't know, $400 for 1,000 rounds. I think that's going to happen before too long, and it'll make 10 millimeter okay again. I'm lucky. I've been able to keep shooting it because I had a huge stockpile of it. That I didn't pay nearly what I should have for all that 10 millimeter and what it went for a few months later, and I was really, really lucky. But just keep that in mind, that things aren't going to always be this way, and everything's going to be more available. But because manufacturers are focusing so much on 9 millimeter and 5.56, they're still trying to meet demand. Things are better than they were, and eventually we're going to see 38 Special, 357 Magnum, 44, 10 millimeter, all of these calibers that are mainstream but are not nearly as mainstream as 9 millimeter. We're going to see those start to come back, I think. But 45 will be first, then 38 Special, and 10 millimeter will be somewhere after those. And I am adjusting to the lag. I know there's there's quite a lag from when I actually see the chat. It's maddening, and I'm trying to adjust to that with varying degrees of success. And I keep trying to figure out if there's some way. My stream latency is set at low latency. I don't know. Who the hell knows? Technology is not my strong point. Y'all know that. I can barely work a fucking cell phone. What do I think about the MCX? Well, I want to look at the specs real quick. Because I want to make sure that I'm discussing the weight correctly. That's important to me. So the stock MCX is 8.4 pounds. That's really heavy to me, and I know that's what everybody's talking about right now. Everybody's talking about the weight, and it's so heavy. And then there's the group within the gun community that's always saying, well, god damn it, just live more weights and then it won't be a problem. And that's really annoying, because we all know that lighter rifles are easier to shoot. It's just the way it is. Doesn't matter how swole you are. If you're super swole, it just means that you can benefit more from a really lightweight rifle. So I hate that it's 8.4 pounds. And I do kind of understand where the military's coming from, that there's more body armor on the field. And I get that. And there's more body armor on the field, and that we need a round, the 277 round that can defeat that. I understand that. But there's also going to be some more logistical concerns. There's more recoil. Folks have a harder time shooting anything with more recoil. I mean, folks have a hard time shooting 5.56 for Christ's sake, and it has no recoil. So I don't know if this is going to render the benefits that are expected, but I also at the same time, I don't have an answer for the body armor problem. But it's like, we have to also ask, like, does 277 Spear just like, does it just go through all modern body armor? I don't think it does. I could be wrong about that, but I'm not sure that it's that powerful. Let me look at the exact ballistics. Okay, so it's 300 feet per second, or 3,000 feet per second for 2,700 foot-pounds. But what barrel length is that out of? I'd like to know that too. I need to know what the barrel length is there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, do we have body armor data on that round? Huh. Okay, so it must have some kind of crazy tip or something that will go straight through body armor. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I also noticed that the barrel length is 13 inches. I was curious about that, and I wonder if these ballistics are out of a 13-inch barrel. I really want to know. Okay, no, I know. The test barrel length is 16 inches, so I don't know what the pressure curve is on this round, but I would imagine the velocity out of a 13-inch barrel is probably going to lose, 400 feet per second maybe. So, does it still pierce body armor at that point? I would wonder about that. But, I mean, also, is the U.S. Army getting a different bullet construction than we are, or can we purchase the exact round that is going to be issued? I want to know about that too. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no, I see what y'all are talking about. Also, someone just had a wreck outside of my house, so that was, I don't know. That looks like somebody's handling it. Yeah, I want to see the exact round. I want to see the exact tip. Ah. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm learning a lot from this. Yeah, that's true. It's still really hard to get M855A1. I don't. Where's everybody getting that when you do get it? Because I see just specialty retailers have it sometimes, and really just Gunbroker, like it just randomly appears on Gunbroker, and you have to always wonder like where the hell is that coming from? But yeah. But it's like we didn't even really get. I don't know if the civilian world really got to mess around with M855 before now we're on to the next thing. And I wanted to see where that was going. Yeah, I'm also curious why they did the hybrid brass and steel case instead of just a straight up steel case. I wonder about that too. And it's like we know how to produce steel cased ammo, and I don't know if it's a wear issue. I don't know. Yeah, green tip is good for barrier penetration. Yeah, in 5.56. I'm not super crazy though about the 62 grain ammo, just because when I've shot it, it hasn't been that as accurate. And I know that's a stupid thing to say. It's still like 3 MOA. It's totally fine. But then you also have to change your zero when you switch back and forth. So I just go with the 55 grain stuff personally. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. So Don's saying that it's the hybrid case, the steel and brass split. It's to handle more pressure, obviously, and then the brass is going to expand to keep the neck, choking the walls. That makes sense because brass is going to expand better for sure. But steel cases work. We know that. Maybe it's a pressure issue. Maybe when you reach those massive pressures like the 277 round has, maybe things change and you have to stick with brass. I don't know. Yeah, a lot of the older stuff does still have the 1 in 9 twist. And well, Osmium brings up a good point about steel. Steel is so variable. Like, it's really weird. Like, when we're talking about steel, we have to really specify what steel are we talking about. You can't just say steel. And I just was falling into this trap just a moment ago. Like, steel is one of those widely varied materials that I know of. I mean, it's like saying plastic. Like, what plastic do you mean? There are so many different plastics with different properties made different ways. I don't know. Yeah, maybe a soft steel alloy that would behave more like brass. Maybe that would make more sense. But maybe you need harder steel at the back end, so that's why they're doing it. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Okay, so you say your rifle was one of the JRAs. I've been curious about those. I would like more folks to post their experiences of the JRA rifles because I see some cool stuff from those folks, and I think about them when they come up. But somebody asked, "Are Geisley Super Duty rifles good quality?" I mean, yeah, yeah, definitely. That's a good rifle. You should get one. If you can get one, you should get it. And they're good rifles for sure. I like them. I would take one. Geisley, send me a rifle. I love your triggers. I've said all kinds of weird stuff about your triggers, but send me some. I want them. Yeah, $90 to ship a gun. It's a lot. It's a lot to ship a gun. It's expensive. It's expensive business right there. Man, your friend needs to let you use friends and family on PayPal or something. Damn. PayPal fees will eat you up. Yeah. Luke says he'll be shooting the same Arrow M4 E1 upper for years to come because he's married with kids. That is totally reasonable. I would say that's very smart, and that gun is going to last for a really long time. You can rebarrel it when you shoot the barrel out. I find that their barrels last about like 15,000 rounds, something like that. And I think that the bang for your buck, I think the M4E1 overall with the ballistic advantage barrel, I still think it's the best value on the market. Still, my primary guns are the same Arrow guns that I've always had. I think they're the absolute best bang for your buck. I love them, and I think it's completely reasonable if that's going to be your only gun and your only AR-15 upper. You've made a fantastic choice. I can't question that at all. All right, you're gonna do the 14.5. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, with the pinned and welded BCM. That's cool. That's really cool. Are you gonna order a barrel from BCM? Their barrels are really nice. I kind of want a BCM. That's probably gonna be one of the, after I get a very special rifle that I've been saving for a while, I'll probably get a BCM just to test against the arrow stuff. But I always wonder, if I move away from the arrow stuff, I'm just gonna come back. I know myself. I'm just gonna go, well, the arrow was just, I liked it just as much. You know, I shoot other things regularly and I always get home and look at my arrows and go, no, you're fine. You're totally fine. So has anybody been doing any rifle builds lately? Is anybody working on anything? We know what Creeping Iron's doing, but anybody else? I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I'm doing a 308 build right now. It's gonna be pretty cool. It's an arrow, obviously, but no, I wish I was saving up for a Knight's SR15. Although I would argue that what I'm saving up for is cooler than the SR15, if you can believe that. Superballs asks, do I think the 11-inch 5.56 barrel is too short? No, I don't. I mean, I like 11.5 to be specific. I mean, I think that's probably what most people are getting. I think it's fine. I mean, 12.5 is you know, any more barrel length is going to be is going to be more power, more velocity, more foot pounds. So, you know, if you can get a 12.5, get a 12.5. But I've got an 11.5 and I love it. And I think it's plenty, especially for, you know, 50 yards. You're going to get decent ballistics even with 55 grain stuff at less than 50 yards. It's going to be totally fine out of an 11.5. I'm not crazy about going much shorter than that. Like a 7.5 is going to be really cool, and I'd still probably take that over a PCC, but not for ballistic reasons, for recoil reasons. A 7.5 DI gun that's well tuned is going to have less recoil than a blowback 9mm, and most of the 9mm on the market are fucking blowback, and I wish companies would stop doing that. Y'all fucking quit making blowback 9mm PCCs. This is the year 2020 fucking 2, and there's no reason. Make it roller delayed, make some kind of crazy new system, make it radial delayed, make it whatever you damn well please, but just please don't make it blowback. Don't do that. It's stupid. I'm tired of it. Savage 22. That's cool. That's really, really cool. I like that. Yeah, I don't understand the point of PCCs either. I mean, with rare exceptions, like the SP5 totally makes sense to me. Absolutely makes sense to me. That 10mm CMMG with the radial delayed system, that makes sense to me. A lot of the other roller delayed guns, that stuff's fantastic, but are just blowback 9mm, why? Why do this? Why buy something with more recoil? It's very, very strange. And yeah, and I saw the Scorpion 3s. It's really funny. I made 2 Scorpion videos where I talked about how fucking shit the Scorpion is. It is such a piece of shit, the original Scorpion. It is a fucking turd. It's one of the worst guns that I've ever bought. Everybody said I was nuts. They said I was fucking crazy. And then a couple years later, CZ makes most of the changes that people were asking them to make. Everybody, clearly what they were doing before was not working, and there was a lot of room for improvement. Yeah, the CZ is, the Scorpion is fucking whack. The UMP-45, though, it still has the same blowback problem. It still has excessive recoil. Most everybody who's shot a UMP will talk about how, goddamn, why is there so much recoil? The MP5 and 10mm, now, that's something I'd be interested in. That I'd like to try. Okay, well, Osmium says, as someone who lives in a super urban environment, range is pointless to him. The main advantage a rifle has over a PCC is range. I disagree with that completely. It is about having less recoil and more power. That's the benefit of a 5.56. There are some tests that have shown that a 5.56 traveling at sufficient velocity is less likely to overpenetrate than a 9mm is. And you're getting more power, and you're getting less recoil, so you're getting more shots on target more quickly. You're going to have to deal with more blast, and you're going to be deaf as fuck after you shoot a 5.56 indoors. But for home defense, I think a lot of the time a shorter 5.56 pistol could make more sense than a PCC. But that depends on you. You have to make that decision for yourself. And there's a lot more to it though than just range. This is the problem with the lag. It's like I say something and then I wait. I have to wait for it to go through because I want to read your responses before I say something else. Yeah, the Chris Vector's cool. It has less recoil. It's blowback with a recoil mitigation mechanism. But I mean, I'd still probably just rather have a 5.56. And yeah, I mean, I know you're not talking about PCCs with unreasonable recoil, but I was just saying that there's still more to it than that. The radial delayed doesn't knock off as much of the recoil as roller delayed guns do. But a roller delayed 9mm could make a lot of sense with the right ammo for home defense because it's going to have a lot less blast. There's a case to be made there, but it's really hard to make a case for a 5.56 or for 9mm PCCs in general, especially blowbacks over a 5.56. It's really hard to make that case. But when you get into other operating mechanisms, then a 9mm PCC starts to become far more viable. Absolutely. And one of the things that the 10mm radial delayed guns have going for them is 10mm out of that longer barrel with the radial delayed system is starting to creep into 5.56 power territory. Like a 7.5-inch 5.56 gun, it's going to have about the same power as 10mm good loads out of that CMMG. So that's kind of interesting, but I think the 10mm is still going to have more recoil than the 5.56. Don says, well, if we made a PCC and delayed it the same way as a VP70, so I don't know if y'all know how the VP70 works, but it's a blowback 9mm HK. It's a horrible gun. It's really cool, but it's a horrible gun. And the way it delays the action opening is just like a regular blowback, but it lowers the velocity of the round by having these super deep rifling grooves, and the gas just blows right by the round, and so it reduces the velocity of the round a lot. It would be hilarious if somebody brought that back and attempted it. Well, Osmi, I'm not saying that like all blowback is sort of equally terrible because it depends on a lot of things. It depends on the weight of the bolt, for one thing, how new the spring is, the ammo you're shooting, and a lot of other things. But the issue is I shoot a lot of guns side by side, and if I put a lot of blowback 9mm side by side with a 5.56, I can watch how much the reticle is moving. And it's also about sort of the recoil pattern as well. AR-15s recoil directly rearward, and you're just watching that dot just move the slightest amount, especially if you have something like a compensator, which I probably wouldn't recommend for indoors. And with blowback, it's in a lot of cases, and again, we're speaking in generalizations, every case is different, every gun is different. There's so much bolt movement that you're seeing a lot more vertical movement from the dot. To me, the recoil impulse just feels a lot sharper. Not uncomfortably so, but I mean, we're looking for every performance gain we can get. Yeah, it's kind of like the MP5 SD. It also bleeds. The MP5 SD also bleeds gas off through holes in the barrel. So it's different in that way a little bit as well. I didn't know that it had deeper cut rifling. I know about the holes that bleed gas into the suppressor though. Yeah, that's right. Okay, look, blowback versus AR-15s, it's like boner pills. Like it's it's just a performance increase. You want every performance increase you can get. And yeah, I know it's absolutely fucking backwards that I like big revolvers as much as I like performance. But hey, there's a case to be made that if you get a big iron big enough, you can shoot it fast. And shooting fast is awesome. So you can have it all. Like, I think with a big 10 millimeter, I think you can absolutely have it all. Yeah, I'm a man of contradictions, I'll tell you. A man of many contradictions. Hey, John. Welcome, man. Thank you for joining us. I've already talked about you some and told people to go look at your videos. And you and I always have the most interesting conversations. Oh, that's going to be cool. Cimarron makes a surprisingly good gun for the money. They really do. I've been very impressed with the ones that I've seen. Very impressed. Also with the delay, this is really funny. I can see what I said a couple minutes ago, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, damn, I say some dumb shit. Look at that. Look at how stupid I look. Josh asked, what's the best 38 special plus P defensive ammo? Well, we've got to talk about where your barrel shoots. If you're talking about a snubby, that is. If you're talking about a snubby, if the ammo shoots where you want it to out of your gun, that's where you got to start. But I mean, I like the Federal stuff again, but John's had really good luck with the SIG 38 special, and I'm trying to get a hold of some of that to shoot out of my air weight. I'd really like to give that a shot. Right now, I think I've got some Remington old stuff, Remington Sabres or something like that. It's got some kind of funny name. Magnetically roller delayed PCC in 10 millimeter. Fuck yeah! Somebody make that happen. Magnetically delayed is that's the future. That's the future right there. We're living in the future, friends. Luke says, at my stage in life, given I've got a good carbine and EDC, I find myself more into older firearms. You know what? I'm experiencing exactly the same thing. Like, I have my self-defense and shit hit the fan needs covered 1,000 times over. Not 1,000 times, but many times over. That's, it's boring. Like, what am I going to get, another self-defense pistol? I mean, yeah, I probably will for the channel because I want the channel to fucking continue, I guess. But it doesn't change that I'm just not that interested in that stuff at all. I would much rather have a bunch of weird old guns that do weird shit. That's much more interesting to me, frankly. Way more interesting. I'd much rather have a bunch of really obscure, like, blowback pocket pistols from the 1920s. That's way more interesting to me. To test those things in a modern context and see if they're still viable. Oh, yeah, that's better than boner pills is what that is. That beats any boner pill on earth, probably. Yeah, that's interesting about, heat and hard impacts killing permanent magnets. Yeah, I don't know enough about magnets. Even though I work in the guitar industry and electric guitars, the sound is essentially powered by magnets. I don't actually know as much as I should about how magnets work. But yeah, like John's saying, this is a first-gen attempt. Humans are smart. Like, we're remarkably ingenious. Someone will probably figure out a way to make that work, I would imagine, unless it's just totally impossible. So you read an article where somebody used a 25 ACP to stop multiple attacker events. I hope it was not one person who has somehow gotten themselves into multiple defensive shootings. You know, it's always really funny when that happens to somebody. I'm always like, what the fuck are you doing that you've been involved in like 2 or 3 defensive shootings? Christ, stop going to the places that you're going to. Uh, but that's really cool if somebody used 25 ACP to stop multiple assailants in one shooting incident. That's really cool. Yeah, heat and hard impacts kill optics too. Yeah, Luke says, hey, I didn't know that. I started playing electric guitar back in the mid 90s. Yeah, man, guitar pickups are magnets with copper wire wound around them. And that's, you know, I don't know if y'all know this, but I am a luthier in my day job, and then in the evenings I do mixing and mastering. And so I do a lot with guitar pickups and do a lot of guitar repairs, also make guitars, do a lot of custom guitars. And I have a guy that I send pickups away to be rewound because he is a magnet genius. And I mean this. He has his own magnets cast. He can replicate the magnet from any vintage guitar. He is a goddamn wizard. And bless you, James. You are a genius. Okay, yeah, if it's somebody who lives in a different country, I can't speak for that. I'm just saying in America, you know, I'm always like, damn, what are you doing that you've been in fucking, you know, in fucking 3 different shooting events. But oh, okay, you knew that about pickups. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to insult your knowledge there. But I have a lot of conversations with folks throughout the day as a luthier that, you know, where you're like breaking, this is like groundbreaking information to them, where they'll bring it in, they're like, it doesn't play good, and I'm like, because your nut's fucked up, and they're like, what is a nut? And then I point it out, and I'm like, your saddle's fucked up, and they're like, what's a saddle? And so I have a lot of those conversations. So I'm used to just talking to people who, you know, don't know their ass from their guitar neck, I guess. Oh, John, man, that's amazing. You didn't have to do that. Fucking hell, that's incredible. Thank you so much. You are the man. Yeah, that's way too generous. And oh, there's some nickel colts with pearl grips. Yeah, that's very tempting. Yeah, Warmoth makes great necks. I don't know if there are any other guitar players here, but Warmoth necks are pretty cool. Although, you know, Musicraft, I think, probably makes a better neck overall. Oh, John, man, thank you so much for stopping by. Yeah, you're awesome. We have the best conversations, and I appreciate all the knowledge that you've imparted to me over the years. I'm very grateful for that. Everybody, go watch the Practical Tactical Minimalist. Go watch his channel. It's one of my favorite channels. It's one of the channels I look to for inspiration. And is there a story behind BDSM horse? In a way, it's a stupid story, but there is a story. Um, so I don't even remember why there was some mention of horses in one of my early videos, and I just get on Google Images and I'm always looking for the weirdest pictures that I can find. That picture popped up and I thought it was so hilarious. Like it just did it for me. And so I put it in that video, and then it was in another video, and then another video, and like it started to develop lore as time went on. You know, because there's Trash Can Possum and Tenifer and BDSM Horse and a couple of others, and Old Neighborhood White Grandma, and then there was lore after a while. The Melanites and BDSM Horse stuck. It's the original character for the channel. I feel like BDSM Horse is the mascot for the whole channel. Hey, nice chatting with you too, Luke. And it's always nice to meet a fellow guitar player. And that's we'll have to talk guitars sometime soon. I know that like I can go down the guitar rabbit hole here on the channel. I know it probably gets on some people's nerves, but I can talk about guitar for hours. And one day I'll upload some Blue Theory videos or something. It's usually just me cursing at my workbench most of the time, but it's a fun life. Jimmy McClure says, I recently picked up a Beretta Px4, a Px4 Storm, and it's a descendant of the Cougar. Yeah, it's got the same operating mechanism. I think the Px4 is one of those guns that I want to review, but I don't know. It's not super high on the list. It should be higher on the list, I think. But I kind of want to get the 45 version because I think that 45 and other heavy calibers make the rotating barrel benefits more apparent. So the way that works, if y'all haven't seen it, is instead of dropping down, you can see that rotates and it moves the locking block out of the way, and the locking surface is this sort of what would you call it? A screw. And I'm interested in testing the PX4 in a heavier caliber to see how it stands up. But the PX4 is one of those guns that I feel like it just needs some development, additional development. Like, I'm not crazy about the way the safety feels. I'm not crazy about the way the grip feels. But it's an awesome gun. It just, like a lot of Berettas, it just doesn't get the attention from the manufacturer that it deserves. Creeping Iron says, I'm not too interested in drinking when I turn 21, but it seems like an interesting flavor. Yeah, I'm not one for drinking either. Drinking's overrated. Yeah, is the Storm? So the Storm is in Splinter Cell. I don't know if I don't think I played Blacklist. Okay. Would William Nance asks, would I ever have I considered having any of my slides custom milled? Your G40 would look hellacious with like a SWP slide package. Yeah, I think about having that stuff done, but the problem is like I don't know. It would offer aesthetic value for sure. It would look cool, but I don't know. I've never valued that as much as I should. Like, I have to see like some practical benefit to spend the money most of the time. I mean, if they wanted to just, cut it for me, because I'm on YouTube and I have 5 people that watch this awful channel, then yeah, I'd send it to them to get cut. What the hell? Or I'd buy another slide and send it to them. But there, no manufacturer or no builder or miller is going to do that for me. But I mean, I'd consider it, but it's so expensive. I mean, fuck. It's and then I always look at it like this. Okay, I could spend the money to have custom parts for this gun, or I could get something else to review for y'all, and the review wins out every time, every single time. Yeah, okay, that's weird. Okay, so that Splinter Cell game, Michael Ironside didn't voice Sam. I couldn't imagine that. That's strange. It's like not having Steve Downes as Master Chief. It's fucking weird. It's really weird. It's really, really, really weird. Yeah, all right, William. I'm glad you like that answer. I just struggle to spend money on stuff that doesn't offer a tangible performance benefit. Like if somebody would tell me, yeah, man, you're gonna get this slide milled and this gun, you're gonna be able to shoot it 2 times faster, then fuck yeah, I will give you that money. I'll have my slide milled twice, but otherwise I just can't do it. I can't make myself do it. It just seems like wasted money. It's like I'm just gonna look at it and go, oh, well, that's cool. It's pretty, I guess, that's cool. But I don't know. I think there's something to be said for keeping things kind of stock, especially for the sake of reviews, because, okay, this is really important. This is something that y'all might not see being on the viewer side. If I change something in a gun and it fails later, or the gun fails later, even if I change something that wouldn't in any way affect that aspect of performance, somebody pops up and says, well, it fucked up because you fucked it up. You changed the whatever and that fucking ruined the gun and that's why you're having trouble with it. It's stupid, but that's what I'll hear. So for review purposes, it also makes sense to keep the gun stock. I really don't change much of anything because if I do and there's a problem, I'm going to get fucking blamed for it. I bet Langdon would do a 45 Px4 because I don't think the frame is any different. I don't think it is, unless somebody else knows. Yeah, I don't think it's any different. Am I wrong? I'm dealing with the lag again. It's like I say something and then I have to wait minutes for it to catch up. Y'all just get like randomly, you know, me staring at the screen for 2 minutes. Yeah, I've seen the 45 P320. Yeah, I've seen that. And I didn't know it had a different SIG firearms cinematic universe, though. I gotta stop saying that. It's so fucking lame, but it's funny to me. I'm gonna check Discord real quick. Yeah, I think everybody who's on Discord and is actually not at work right now is here. Yeah, I'm sorry that I did this in the middle of the day. I was fresh from the range and I wanted to talk about that stuff right now, and it made the most sense to just log on while it was fresh, because you know how it is, the further you move away from that, you're going to start to forget things that you wanted to say. At least I will. Yeah, the NRA support, like, is that still a thing? You know, you don't see any channels sort of still shilling for the NRA, do you? That became very unpopular. I remember that fucking Hickok was kind of the last holdout. Like, I'm not gonna give up on the NRA. Well, he eventually had to as well. There was just too much pressure. I kind of hate though when gun channels just cave to public pressure. Like, stand up for what you believe in. If you believe in the NRA, well, I might think that's stupid. Just say you believe in the NRA. Like, that's okay, you know? I mean, he may have legitimately seen the error of his ways, but I got the impression that it was really just due to public pressure, and I'm not crazy about that. The NRA wine tasting club, is that actually a thing? Please tell me that's a thing. Is there an NRA wine tasting club? Oh, they're literally drinking the Kool-Aid. Do they send you Kool-Aid? Please say they send you wine to taste. Please say that's real. I need for that to be real. Oh, it's for the ladies. Hey, Josh, I think that you may have accidentally just named the universe in which all of the TGP characters live. I think that's going to be a thing going forward. That is so fucking funny to me. I think that all the TGP characters live in the SIG firearm cinematic universes. Fuck. You're a genius. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, Wayne LaPierre strikes me as somebody who probably spends an enormous amount on wine anyway. He can give some wine away, I'm sure, to NRA customers. They feel like customers, don't they? That's what they're called, I'm sure. They're not supporters, they're customers. William Nance says he has a unique Glock 34 build. A used Gen 3 G35 slide milled for forward serration, swapped to KKM 9mm conversion barrel, and added a Volker Universal Comp. Yeah, that sounds fucking cool to me. I'd like to shoot that. That sounds amazing. Man, I can't stop thinking about the SIG firearm cinematic universe. Like that's where BDSM horse lives. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like I've got to write that down. Well, y'all, I'm getting hungry again. I haven't had lunch yet, so I'm gonna have to log off here pretty soon. Does anybody have anything left that we should talk about before I call this one? It's gonna take a long time for that to actually come through, though. Like it feels like the delay right now. I think it's a couple of minutes. I think it's probably 3 minutes because I'm watching me over here do shit that I did a long time ago. Yeah, I'll see most of y'all in the Discord. This was super fun. I really enjoyed it, and I hope y'all have a lovely evening. But because of the delay, I'll wait for this to go through before I cut out of the stream. But I'm Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, I'm on the East Coast. Yeah, South Carolina to be exact. Lovely South Carolina. Best sauce for chicken tenders. I just like Texas Pete, good old fashioned buffalo sauce. Texas Pete and butter, you can't beat it. Some fire shit. Yeah, it's buffalo. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful evening. I will see you next time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Y'all are the best. I will see you later.